host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about NOS4A2 by Joe Hill. And this is from William Morrow, an imprint of HarperCollins. So, there's their little William Morrow logo. So, NOS4A2 is what we're talking about here. And this is the story of basically two people. Victoria Vic McQueen, also known as the Brat. Her father calls her that. And Vic has a special talent. I'm going to try not to give anything away that isn't already on the back of the book, and this is on there. So Vic has a special talent. When she rides her bike across this bridge that's through the woods from the back of her house and this old rickety bridge, when she rides her bike across the bridge, she ends up wherever she needs to be to find something. So when we're first introduced to the character, her mother has lost a necklace or a bracelet, something, and Vic, she doesn't know she has this ability. She's just riding and she's thinking about it. She gets to the bridge, she rides across it, and she ends up in a completely different place where they had just spent the day at the beach. And she goes into this little diner place, and her mother had accidentally left it there, the bracelet or necklace, whatever it was. And so Vic gets it, and she learns that anytime if she's looking for something, she rides across the bridge, she ends up where she needs to be. All right, so that's Vic, the Brat. Then we have Charlie Talent Manx. He's a serial kidnapper slash killer, horrible person. He drives a Rolls-Royce Wraith 1938 with the license plate NOS4A2, NOS4A2. And he has the ability to take children to Christmas Land, a very special place, where it's Christmas all the time, and they can be little happy monsters. And of course, these two characters are going to meet. Again, nothing that isn't on the back of the book. Vic becomes the only person to escape from Charlie Manx. And when she grows up, they meet again. And things happen and go crazy. As always, don't want to give too much away, but that's essentially what you're going to need to know to get us started here. All right, so first of all, I need to confess that this is basically the first Joe Hill that I have ever read. I say basically because I did read a story that he co-wrote with Stephen King in the He Is Legend anthology. So technically I have read Joe Hill, but it was mixed with somebody else. And I don't know how much was him, how much was the other author. So this is my first real jump into his writing. And I have to say, I'm definitely going to be reading more because this was really, really fantastic. The characters are great. And there aren't really a lot of them in here as far as main characters go. You have at the beginning, you've got Vic. We meet Vic when she's very young. And so we have her and her parents. And then, there are some ancillary characters that kind of come and go. But Vic is the focus. Vic's the main character. That's all there is to that. But we do meet some other characters along the way. We do have Charlie Manx, secondary-ish main character, because Charlie has sort of a Renfield kind of guy working for him by the name of Bing, and he might even play, for part of the story, he plays a bigger part than Charlie does. But so those Charlie and Bing are kind of the secondary main character together. I'll just mash them together because I can do that. It's my review. And then there's a guy, Lou, that we meet along the way. You'll find out who he is when you read the book, and you're gonna read this book because you just have to. But it's a relatively small cast, main cast. One of the things I think is really interesting is that The first third to half, um, can't say exactly. Well, I'm going to say third. The first third takes place over a large period of time, relatively speaking, from when Vic is a young girl, first meet her, until she's an adult and has had a child of her own. And that child is old enough to come to the attention of Charles Talent Manx. Um, so the first third or so takes place over many years, and then the last two thirds just over a couple of days. Really fascinating. Um, so Vic, again, a great character, not necessarily a great person. She is a very flawed person, but we definitely can understand why. The things she's gone through, the issues with her parents, um, the fact that she has this ability that doesn't seem real, and she uh, doesn't necessarily want to accept it as real, which can really mess with your head. And she has, as a child, has a run-in with this crazed serial kidnapper, killer, possible pedophile kind of guy, and weird stuff happens there. Um, well, she's not that young when it happens, but she's still a kid technically. Um, but that's got to mess with you. So she's she's a person, I guess, who's trying to be good but fails quite often. Um, she's rebellious, uh, but wonderfully written, wonderfully fleshed out. A great character to read. Somebody that I'm rooting for. I want to follow her and see her successes and her failures, and see where she goes. And that's just a sign of great writing when you want that. Um, Bing, the Renfieldy type of character, is he's a loser, but he's interesting. He's entertaining. Charles Talent Manx, the monster of our story, is an interesting character, and his motivations are not horrible. Um, what he does is horrible. His motivations, maybe not so much. There's a lot of ambiguity in this story and in the characters, which again, sign of great writing. Excuse me, I'm getting a little parched. I'm gonna have to take a drink here. This episode of the Low Budget Review Show brought to you by Mountain Dew. As always, I don't know, maybe they'll send me some free Mountain Dew. That'd be great. So yeah, fantastic characters. Lou Cormady, however you say his name, whom we meet, and I love him, maybe because he's a nerd, and he's into comics and conventions and sci-fi and all that other stuff. You know, gosh, I don't know why I would relate to him as a character, but he's really fantastic. Um, but I think my favorite character, one whom I could have read an entire book about her, is Maggie Lee. She's someone whom Vic meets when Vic needs answers, and so I'm not really giving too much away. She rides across the bridge, ends up someplace, meets this young woman, Maggie Lee. She's kind of a punk goth whatever kind of chick, that works at a library, kind of a loner, and she has an ability as well. And she explains to Vic that there are people in the world that have abilities of one sort or another. Excuse me. And I absolutely loved her character. Uh, yeah, Maggie Lee. Bring back Maggie Lee. Come on, Joe Hill. Do one of those like alternate Earth kind of things where Maggie Lee could be a main character, because she was just fantastic. She broke my heart. Uh, um, just being the character that she is was kind of uplifting and heartbreaking at the same time. But I absolutely loved her. Uh, so it's not the thinnest of books. Let's see, we're gonna say it's almost 700 pages. There are some very cool illustrations and things in here, and um, you're going to want to read the um, a lot of books will have what's called a note on the type in the back. If you see that note on the type, it usually just tells you like the font that was used and such. But in this particular case, I'm telling you, you got to read every single page. It's sort of an after credits scene, for lack of a better way to put it, and to put it in movie terms. Um, and even past that, there's a couple interesting things that you're going to want to see. So you absolutely have to check out every page of this book, even when you think it's over, um, or even when it is over. There's more. Again, an after credit scene, I think, is the perfect way to put it. So lots of little goodies in here, as well as just a fantastically written story with amazing characters. Um, I don't know why I waited so long to read this freaking book, or to read any Joe Hill. I'm definitely going to be picking up, as I said, all his stuff. So my rating's not going to come as any surprise. Um, Boy, I didn't even mention Christmas Land, did I? I think maybe I did. You know, where Charlie Manx takes the kids that he takes. He takes them to Christmas Land. Um, and it's not really the wonderful place that one might think from the name Christmas Land. Um, just the kids play a game called, I think it's Scissors for Drifters, um, which, yeah, just sounds creepy and should give you an idea of what goes on. But so Christmas is a big part of this, because of Manx's whole deal. Um, so what I did for my rating, kind of stole this from The Simpsons. I don't know if they made it up or somebody else made it up. I don't know, but the whole sort of cutout cookie Christmas tree made into spearheads kind of thing. So basically, there you go. You have 5 out of 5 Christmas tree cutout cookies that have been made into spearheads. So there's blood dripping down because someone got stabbed with these Christmas tree cutout cookies. Yeah, and 5 out of 5 is the point, as always. Um, for NOS4A2, Joe Hill, absolutely fantastic. Um, the seven, it flies by. It's just so fascinating. Just, man, the dude's got talent. I don't think anyone can deny that. Just fantastic characters. I loved them all. Um, and yeah, it's a great story. Oh, I was gonna say, I almost forgot. Um, the feeling I got from reading this, because it's it's horror, but it's also, I hate to use the term fantasy because I think most people, if you say it's fantasy, they simply go to like Lord of the Rings, a Lord of the Rings place, and that's not at all what this is. But it's fantastical. Can I say that? The feeling I got, what I was reminded of a little bit, was a either a less whimsical Neil Gaiman. Not that Neil Gaiman's writing is always whimsical, but it does have a lighter feel to me. Usually, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But he's got that fantastical, magical kind of story that Neil Gaiman writes. This is a little darker, in my opinion, than what I've read of Neil Gaiman, or conversely, a little lighter, Clive Barker. Not the Books of Blood or Hellraiser type of stuff, but the Weave World, his more fantastical type of stuff. I had that feeling, but lighter than Clive Barker, darker than Neil Gaiman, so it sort of falls in between there. That horror, magical kind of thing. Because again, I mean, it's got a place called Christmas Land. You've got these people with talents, the abilities that they can use. So it's just not, it's not your typical horror, but it's also not your typical, it's not urban fantasy by any means, but it is fantastical again. To I don't know if that's a word or not. If it is now, I'm calling it fantastical. So 5 out of 5. I'm getting way off track here. That's NOS4A2 by Joe Hill. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning, because we try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. I'll have a link or two for the book in the description below if you want to pick it up. And please like, share, and subscribe. I think that covers everything. So this has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been your host, Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.